in this project, I will be interviewing Shelly Zellner, my mother, about the struggles of mental health across today's youth. And in order to do this, I am using the story Average Waves in Unprotected Waters by Ann Tyler to aid in this discussion. So in this story, the Blevins family is taking young Arnold into a mental health facility. This is very hard for not only his mother, but those who raised around him. And having to check him into this mental health facility really put those around him in a bad situation. His behavior had grown worse for a while, and his mother, Beth, had no other option. Following him being admitted, we see Beth being more relieved than ever, knowing the help has arrived that she and Arnold need, along with those who have been so involved with helping raise him without his father around. So I bring in Shelly Zellner because she works with troubled youth in a facility called Youth Home Incorporated in order to help them with these kind of issues we see in mental health every day. So my first question for you is it more of a pattern of bad behavior or an isolated event that leads families and individuals to enter mental health facilities?
Good evening, Cole. There are many different reasons that individuals will enter a mental health facility. In our particular setting, the teenagers that come to us for help into us, and they come to us for what Arkansas considers long-term treatment. It is not usually an isolated event. They have had some kind of trauma in their life from the time they were very young till the time they enter our facility. And we do a lot of trauma-informed care, but it is an isolated incident. Their behaviors have been repeated several times.
Okay, I understand. That leads me to my next question, which you kind of leaked your answer into. Is it common to see past experiences or events leak into current life and contribute to mental health issues? And if so, what kind of events lead into this kind of behavior?
With the teenagers that we treat, we see where their past traumas have brought them to us and have contributed to their life in many different forms. Past traumas can be anything from watching their parents be murdered to abuse. Many, probably 80% of our patients have been abused at some point in their life, usually before the age of 3. They also may have lived in households that there was a lot of domestic violence, a lot of alcohol, and they live in homes that they are very neglected. They don't know where their next meal would come from. They come to us and they have a pattern of stealing food from our cafeteria or from our concession stands and things that we have at youth home because they're scared they're not going to have their next meal. They do a lot of hoarding behaviors. We have kids that are very oppositional defiant, and this is because they've had to be to survive in their homes. We have kids that come to us that live with grandparents, that live with aunts and uncles, that live with other family members because it was too chaotic in their home. We also have quite a few foster care kids, and the trauma in these kids' life is amazing and just unheard of at times. Our foster care kids have been sometimes in 14 placements before they come to youth home. So yes, their past experiences definitely play into their behavior they have today.
Okay, that leads me into a question. So relating it back to our story being studied here, young Arnold has been with his mother his whole life. Early on in the story, it explains that his father, upon learning that he has these mental health issues, abandoned the family, and that really put a strain on that whole family, and it really put his mother in a rough situation. Is this something that's common as well, seeing family members leave and just leave a hole in a child's life?
Absolutely. We have a lot of kids that have what we call abandonment issues. Many people in their life have left and never returned. And this also talks to their trust issues as well. They don't know how to trust adults because the people in their life have never been trustworthy. They've left them, they've left the other parent, or as I said, with grandparents, aunts, uncles, in a situation where they're raising a child that does not feel worthy of love because the people that were supposed to stay and take care of them did not.
Okay. Last and final question I have for you today is this story shows Bet, his mother, becoming very relieved and free, getting Arnold in this facility. I know it's not easy, but have you seen family members feel better when they see the help is coming for their loved ones, or is it much harder for them to leave?
I think it probably is a little of both. I think when parents get to our level of treatment, they have tried so many things and things are going so poorly at home. At many times, parents or guardians are scared of these kids at this point because they've acted out physically, they have beat their family members up, they've beat siblings up. So I think when they come to us, the parents or guardians are a little bit relieved in the fact that their home is going to be safer for their other children, the other people that live in the home. But I think at the same time, it is very scary and very hard for parents to leave their children in a facility where they don't know people. They don't know how we're going to take care of them. And so we see a lot of parents, you can see the relief on their face, but when they actually start to walk out, you see a lot of tears, a lot of sadness. Right now, we have, where I work, we have TRICARE insurance, which is military. So our families are from all over the country, all over the United States. And we have some that are even in foreign countries that bring their kids to us. So I think it's a little bit harder in the fact that they're several states away.
Yep.
And but I do think once the kids are here about a month, they know they're getting the help they need. They know they're being taken care of.
Yep. That's something we saw with young Arnold in this story that we have studied, is that his mother had to travel by bus and by train to get to this facility that she was checking him into. It was not a short trip that she could make in a day or so, or she took it in a day, but it's a long journey. So that's something that you can obviously relate to as well. So this story being studied, really, this gives you a good insight, this interview, and I really appreciate you coming on and giving us that insight that we were looking for.
Well, thank you for having me.